What's up, guys? Welcome to Success Mindset Episode 2. Today, I want to talk about fear. Fear is a very important thing or emotion to be able to conquer in your life, because oftentimes if you don't conquer it, it will conquer you. And the results from that is you living a life that you don't want to live, or you being in a position that you don't want to be in, or not being able to experience the things that you want to experience in life. Oftentimes we'll find that the very decisions that are the hardest ones to make, and when we're faced with a choice that we don't want to make, oftentimes that choice is the one that we actually should make. But what consumes us, what keeps us from doing it, is this thought or these visions of how could this negatively play out. What may happen to me in a position if I make this decision. A couple years ago, it was shortly after I graduated, I had gotten a decent job. I was making decent money, and able to make enough that I can enjoy myself. But then shortly after having that job, I felt that I was not going to be able to grow. I wasn't going to be able to move ahead in life. And so I was faced with the decision of going to a job that I was going to take a significant pay cut. And it was going to suck for a while. At this point in time, my student loans had just started kicking in. I had just gotten another car. And, of course, I had moved out of my parents' place. And I had gotten, the current job at that time. So, these thoughts started coming to mind. I'm not going to be able to enjoy myself. I'm going to be seen as that guy who's always conscious about, his money, and this could get very rough over this period of time, with paying all these expenses and making so much less than I had been making before. So, I remember talking to my parents, and, shortly afterwards, I knew that it was the right decision to make. It was the one that kind of sucked financially, but I knew that it was the right one to make. And, looking back, if I had not have made that decision, I would not be where I am here, today. So that is the thing that is about fear at points in times. Sometimes you can't avoid the negative circumstances that will result from them. You can't avoid the period of time that's going to suck, right after the decision that you made that you didn't want to make. You can't avoid that. Oftentimes is you absolutely have to face that. But facing the difficult time, facing the harder time, facing the situation that you don't want to be in for a period of time can often be the right position to be in before you can actually move forward in life. So, like I said, for me making that decision, it was going to suck for a little while. It was going to suck for some months. However long I was going to be in it, was going to suck financially. But I knew that it was going to benefit me a lot more. It was going to benefit the future a lot more. And I talk about this a lot, with life, with balancing the long-term, decisions or the long-term goals versus the short-term ones. Sometimes you have to make that short-term sacrifice to be able to get ahead long-term, in the long term of your life. And that is the case for me. If I had not have made that decision, I would definitely not be in the position that I'm in now. I could be in a better position. I could be in a lot worse position, but I for sure would not be where I am now. And the only way that I would have found it out is to have made that decision. But you can't be crippled by them. And that is the main point that I'm trying to convey. You can't be crippled by decisions in life, by your fear, because, oftentimes what lies on the other side is something so much better than where you are now, because, you wouldn't be longing for it if you didn't make that decision. So you can't be crippled by the thoughts of, hey, this may not work out, or this, I could very well put myself in a crappier position if I make this decision. Because think about it this way: if you don't make the decision, where are you going to be? You're going to be experiencing the same thing you're experiencing now, or you're going to be in the same position that you're in now. If you do make the decision, hey, you face a little risk, but you also face that reward, and that reward oftentimes that reward can only come in the face of fear. It can only come on the other side of the decision that you don't want to make. A couple months ago, well, not a couple months, a couple weeks ago, I was and this is a small example here, but I was facing the decision of buying. I was trading alternate coins, and I was facing the decision of buying Bitcoin, and it had just it had just dropped down in price, and I was like, hey, it may go down a little bit more. So I feared buying at that point, fearing that it would go down more and I would lose versus gain. But I did not make that decision to buy in at that point in time. And looking back, if I have done that, I would have doubled the investment that I had into it. So, it doesn't always work that way. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes things go wrong right after you make the decision, but oftentimes or many times it can go right. You won't ever know until you make the decision. So, when you're facing those difficult decisions in life, when you're facing that fear of something that you see the position that you want to be in, or you know that you're not comfortable in the position you're in right now, and you have this slight feeling that, hey, if I do this, I could possibly get myself in a better position. When you face that, really, really compare what's going to happen, with each decision. If you don't make it, as I said before, you're going to continue to be in the same position, and you're going to live your life in regretting that you, what would have happened. That's one of the worst things I believe that many people face, and that many of us will face when we get older in life. We'll look back and we'll say, what if, what if I had to did this? What if I had to did this better? Or what if I had to made this decision, to do something that sucked, but, where could I be right now if I had made that decision? I remember being in a relationship, several years ago in high school, this was actually my first semester of college. I remember being in that, and, I really didn't want to make the decision of exiting, but I knew that was the right decision to make. And I remember talking to my dad, and he told me these words. He was like, Warren, you got to get rid of the BS in your life and move forward. And it was those words that actually gave me the strength to do it. I feared, it was during depression at that time, I feared that, hey, it could make me feel a lot worse in life, or it could potentially, I could feel better. But I knew at that point in time, I knew at that moment that it was going to suck for a while, and I feared that. But it was those words that allowed me to make that decision. And looking back, it really helped me get to where I am now. So one of the main reasons I really want to talk about this subject now is because next year, for me, I will be making a lot more. I will be taking a lot more risk in life, and that's not to say that I'm reckless in taking risk, but it's more to say that, hey, I truly don't want to be in the same position that I'm in life, or I don't want to prevent myself from getting what I want out of life because I didn't take a risk or that I didn't make a decision. So I really stare down at some major decisions next year that, I'm completely scared of them. I am scared of what could happen if things don't work out. But, the fear and the risk in it are things that sometimes you can't control. You can minimize the risk, but you can't always control them. The fear is something that, perhaps you can minimize that, but you can't always control it. But you can control the outcome that comes afterwards, and that is the thing for me that pushes me forward to be able to make these decisions. Sure, it may suck at one point in time. I may lose completely everything that I have. All the decisions that I've made before that have built me up in the position I am now. This perhaps one decision that I make next year could take all of that away. But at the same time, I will have gained a lot of experience. I would have, let it be known to myself that I am capable of making this decision, or capable of facing this fear. And sometimes that means a lot more than, perhaps the material things that you accumulate. I don't know who said it, but I remember hearing someone mention that you should be careful with accumulating things, or having this thought that you have something to lose in life, because when you accumulate so many material things and have this thoughts that you have something to lose in life, that could very well be the thing that prevents you from facing the fear. It can very well be the thing that prevents you from making a decision that you need to make. And so I've told myself that, hey, I've had to ask myself, am I completely okay with facing or risking everything that I have in life to potentially get to a better point in life? And I made the decision that it was worth the risk, that it is worth the risk, and that, next year for me would be an important year in my life. I think each year has been important up to this point, but next year definitely has to be the year that I face some of those fears, the year that I kind of take that leap of faith. And I described it to a buddy of mine the other day that, it's sort of exhilarating. I described it as you're approaching this wall, and you don't know what's on the other side of this wall. If you jump too early, you could perhaps, hurt yourself. If you jump too late, then perhaps you will not be able to clear it, and you'll still be in a worse position. You'll be in the same position. You're still on the opposite side. On the same side of the wall. But if you face the fear and you take that leap, from the moment that you're crossing that wall, it's too late then. You don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what's going to happen on the other side. The only thing that you can do once you get across that wall is to hit the ground running. The only thing you can do is to if you break your leg, the only thing you can do is crawl and try to get to a better position so that you can survive. And that's sort of how I feel about it. So you have to be both reactive and proactive once you get there. You have to react to the situations that have just completely come upon you and you can't change that they've happened, and you have to be proactive in being able to shape the future and being able to make the most out of the position that you're in so that you can win. So that's how it is for me. That's basically what 2018 will be like for me. I am starting a couple different ventures, perhaps one in general that I'm really feeling pretty good about, but at the same time, I don't know what's going to come of that. I don't know, what's gonna result. And in the process of going on that venture, and then I have to make other decisions, other very difficult decisions. As I said before, I could lose everything that I have here. I could basically be homeless, or I could have to move back in with my parents or something, or whatever. All I know is that it is a decision that I have to make in life. It is something that I have to do, and I cannot let the fear of what could happen consume me and prevent me from doing it. Because, if I don't do it, then I'll always be looking back and question, what would have happened if I had. So that's the whole point that I'm trying to make here. Basically, do not be crippled by your fears. Evaluate the risk and, the potential risk and reward. And really ask yourself, is it worth it? Is staying in the same position worth it? Worth not making a decision and being consumed by that fear? Or is it much better to make the decision and to face that fear? And despite facing the unknown, there's also potential for a lot of reward. Now there's potential for a downfall, but there's an upside also. And you really only witness that once you get there. And if you do make the decision, whatever decision it is, you do face the fear and things get difficult, be proactive, be reactive, both at the same time. You have to do both. And, don't let the things get you down, but you have to keep running. You have to, once you jump that wall, you have to hit the ground running, and you have to keep moving to be able to survive and thrive. And a lot of times after that difficult time, I believe that after that hardship, that really shapes us into who we are, and it really reflects on us and gives us even more confidence. After we've gotten past that difficult time, then we're able to rise, then we're able to start climbing. But anyways, that's all I want to talk about, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Again, this is only episode 2, and I call this success mindset because as I said before, it touches on all aspects of life. And of course, success is different across whatever we're applying it to, but it's really about the mindset and how we choose to think about things that can really shape what we get out of life and what we experience. Of course we have to put action, but actions don't result until we mentally decide to do them. And we have to really take control of that and really start thinking in ways that can help us progress in life, and it can help us get to what we want in life. But anyways, that's all I want to talk about, guys. I hope you're sticking around for more, and until next time, I will talk to you later.